Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cool Conversations with Sheera Lee. I am so glad that you have joined us this evening, and we have an awesome guest. This lady, known as the TV lady, is a media personality extraordinaire. Sweetie, she does it all. She's a voiceover artist, she's an author, she's an artist, she's a creative force to be reckoned with. And we are so pleased tonight to have with us Valonda Calloway. Valonda, welcome to Cool Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, LaShira.
Now, I'd say that you're a woman that does it all. But your resume is quite extensive. And now you have entered into the arena of being an author. Tell us, why do you feel your book, and I want you to introduce the title of your book, and why do you feel that what you have to say right now is so timely in the world we live in?
My book is called Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for presenting your best self on camera and in person. It's called The TV Lady because that has been my nickname for as long as I've worked in television. I've been a television reporter, anchor, host, which I am presently, and a spokesperson, which I am presently. And no matter where I go, somebody yells out, "Hey, aren't you the TV lady?" Or they say to their friend, "Hey, isn't that the TV lady?" So that's why it's called Tips from the TV Lady. And I've learned a lot working in television about how to present yourself on camera. And when COVID hit in March, there were so many people who were on camera who weren't used to being on camera. The news was calling on them to do interviews about perhaps a family member who was suffering with COVID, or perhaps the news was calling on them because they were a medical expert of some sort and they found themselves on TV. And then there were all these people on social media. They're doing YouTube videos, they're doing Facebook videos, workouts and recipes and all these different things. But maybe they haven't been used to being on camera. And I saw so many mistakes with lighting and clothing and makeup and sets. And several people, 3 to be exact, nudged me and said, "Valonda, you really should share what you know about this subject since you've worked in TV all these years." So by the time I got to the third nudge, I said, "Okay, I'm going to write a book." And so I started writing in June, and here we are in November, and it's out.
Now, I know a lot of people are probably interested in what you have to say because, as we said prior to the show, it is so timely and it's needed. So, we don't want to give away a lot of information because we want people to purchase the book. And so, before we go on any further, can you tell people where they can purchase your book?
Absolutely. Thank you for that, LaShira. You can get an autographed copy at my website, valondacalloway.com. And my name is right there beneath, so you can see how to spell it. It's one word, valondacalloway.com. That's for an autographed copy. Also, you can go to amazon.com and you can pick up a Kindle version as well as the paperback version. So if you love to shop on Amazon, perhaps you're a Prime member, you get free shipping, go to Amazon and get it. If you would like a signed copy, please go to my website, valondacalloway.com.
Now, this, just to give everyone a tidbit, this show is airing on my Facebook Live, my personal page, but also on my private group page. And so my private group page is full of book people. I think people to be exact, who love to read and talk about reading. So we want you to go all out and to support. And we also wanted you to know that even if you at this particular time do not have a quote unquote online persona, or you're not doing virtual visits or either virtual chats or what have you, if you know someone, because at this point we pretty much all know someone who has to be on camera for their job, conferences, webinar, and what have you. So this will be a great treat because, I think, Valonda, I think that this year a lot of people are trying to purchase practical gifts.
Yes, and this is so practical because, like you said, LaShira, we almost all of us know someone who is using a webcam to communicate. And I want to get this across, and I want to be very clear. This is not a book about vanity. It's not a book that says if you've got a crooked tooth, you shouldn't be on camera, or a book that says if your eyebrows aren't perfect, you shouldn't be on camera. No, it's none of that. It's about showing off your best, whatever that is, because we know several super smart people, PhDs, have studied behavior, and we know that people pay more attention to the visual than they do the words coming out of your mouth. One study that I read said that people only pay attention to 7% of the words you speak. The rest of it, the other 93%, is based on the visual, what they see, as well as body language. What is your body doing? Are your hands doing weird things? Are you making weird facial expressions? Or do you look pleasant? And does your face match what's coming out of your mouth? We know this. This has been studied. And that's why I'm sharing this information with everyone about the things that we can do to make ourselves present better, showing off our best selves, not turning into somebody else, but showing off the best of who we are.
And I thank you for that clarification, because someone had inboxed me earlier saying, was this a book about looks, glamour, if you will? If this book was about makeup and things of nature? And I said, well, this book is an aid to assist you into making you look your best and be presentable. And when you are entering into any type of platform that's visual, and let's be honest, there are a lot of interviews now. I've had several interviews. Hello, Miss Norman, First Lady. I've had several interviews that were all virtual, and you do have to be mindful. You know, like right now, I have an Obama poster behind me, but in my interviews, I skew everything in my desk where you only see a blank wall, because everybody may not be an Obama supporter.
Right.
The person who's interviewing me may not be a Obama supporter. I also make sure, like, I don't usually wear any jewelry or anything when I'm interviewing, because I don't want that distraction. Well, I may not feel as a distraction. Someone else might feel a distraction. So this book is so timely because it is the little things.
It is the little things
that can prevent you from presenting your best.
It's the little things, and those little things can throw us off our game. I've got a bruise here on my cheek that I absolutely hate, so I have to make sure I cover it with makeup. And the one time that I forgot to do it, I was totally off my game because I kept turning my head this way. Oh, I don't want anybody to see that I forgot to cover up this spot over here on my cheek. It's little things like that. You don't want to be focused on those things that bug you about yourself when you've got a message to share. You want your message to come through, not the things that distract from the message. That's what I'm talking about. I'm showing you how to get the best of yourself coming through and to leave the distractions behind, because we know that audiences drift and that your message and what you present has to be on point.
Exactly. And, just to piggyback on what you said, I have different overlays that I use on my vlog podcast. And I've had several people say, ooh, I stopped scrolling just due to your overlay. That's simply the overlay that I've used on the podcast have made people stop to listen to see what my guests are saying. So that's another visual when you're talking about the aesthetic. So let's talk about personally how we can present ourselves and how your book aids in a great resource to assist all of us.
Absolutely. I'll give you a couple of free tips. You and I are both wearing cobalt blue. That's on purpose. It's not an accident that we chose these colors. I share in the book the colors that you should go for, as well as the ones to avoid, because certain colors will attract and certain colors will distract. And so I share the colors to stay away from, as well as the ones to lean into. And I give you visual aids. I share the first picture in the book you see is of me. And it's a picture that I don't hate it. I still like the picture, but it's a picture that I can share to say, don't do that. To say, what was I thinking when I picked out that pattern, that color? And I tell you why. And I interview experts who can also put their years of experience behind why some of the choices we make are bad when we're on camera or when we're in front of people. Lighting. before we got going, LaShera, you said, oh, let me adjust. One of my lights went out. You understand the importance of that. So do I. I have two lights on me right now. I show you why lighting is so important. It doesn't matter what your complexion is, whether you're light skin, dark skin, whether you've got olive skin, pale skin. Most of us will need some light. You know, it's 7 p.m., 7:10 here on the East Coast. It's pitch black outside.
Exactly.
The room light is not enough. We need artificial light. During the day, when it's sunny, sometimes sunlight is good enough. Many times it's not. But I talk to you about lighting, and I don't just say get a light. I interviewed an expert who's been nominated for an Emmy 5 times, who shared his expertise when it comes to lighting.
And you know what? Another key factor in your book and just in your conversation that we're having now, and when we were conversing prior to the show, you go out and you seek expert opinion. And I love the fact that you felt comfortable enough and you did your due diligence in doing that, because so often when people write books, and you know, you have enough experience that, let's be honest with you, that you could have actually written a book without these experts assisting you, but you felt the need to do so you can bring the best information to your audience. So let's discuss that as a whole. How did you utilize your resources and able to help us to be a resource to us?
I'm so glad you asked that, LaShera. Thank you. I felt it was really important to have experts talk about these things. I'm very fortunate to know a lot of experts. I've worked in television for more than 20 years. You stop counting at 20. And when you get to that level, you come across some amazing people who've won all kinds of awards, people who coach others on these things. So I would have been a fool to not ask them for their help. And it also beefs up the book. It's not just me yapping. It's me leaning on people who I know are at the top of their game. A lot of these people are at the top of their game. They won awards. You may not know their names, but you've seen their work. And I thought it was important to go to them so that they could share their expertise, because I don't know it all. I know a lot of it, but I am not a lighting expert. What I know, I learned from other people. And so I went to those people, and I'm sharing that information with you. Anytime we can have credibility from another source, it is important to go to that source and share it.
Now, we may have people who are just joining in, so I want you to introduce your book once again and tell us the various platforms that we can support you in your book.
Thank you so much, LaShera. I'm Valonda Calloway. I am the author of Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for creating a great, I messed up the subtitle. What is my subtitle? A guide for making a great impression on camera and in person. It is available on Amazon. Just type in Tips from the TV Lady. It's available in Kindle as well as paperback. If you would like a signed paperback copy, you can go to my website, valondacalloway.com, and I would be happy to send you a signed paperback copy.
Now, I do believe that would make a great gift. Now, do you have a paper copy handy?
Of course I do. It's right here.
Oh, magic!
Boom, magic. Yes, here it is.
And you know what? This actually will make a great gift, because we all know, as we said earlier, people who have to be on a virtual platform. And I do believe that it's unfortunate that COVID happened. There's so many deaths and so much detriment that is going on in a global level. However, one, if we can think of any highlight or any a silver lining to this, is that people have learned to stretch themselves.
Yes.
They have learned to make themselves more accessible in a virtual manner, and people are more connected than ever.
Yes, absolutely.
I have attended several webinars and conferences that perhaps I would not have had the opportunity to attend other than virtually. And you see more and more people going this route, becoming a lot more comfortable. And this year, a lot of people in here attended a virtual LCA, my annual literary event. And as much as I missed all 300 you all, we had a great time virtually. And so I know that that's a component when this is over, because I do believe it will be over. But when it's over, I will continue that virtual component. And so I think a lot of people are still thinking in that vein. So once again, that's an awesome book to have that resource, because just because you like a particular color, it may not be the color that you need to wear on screen. And just because you like a particular background or lighting, it could be Big Mom presenting you that lighting fixture when you were going to college or you graduated. It may not be great for you.
Yes.
So I think that we need to understand what we like and what is visually appeasing to us.
Yes. Sounds like you read the book, Sheera.
Visually appeasing to others. So how can we change our mindset so that we are that we have that growth mindset that allows us to grow in various platforms?
I love that growth mindset. That is what I am all about. You don't know what you don't know, Sheera. You just don't. And that's why books like these are so important. I talk about in the preface how I still make mistakes. I have, like I said, worked in television for 20 plus years. And it wasn't until a makeup artist came to one of the stations where I worked and pointed out my dark under eye circles that I noticed them. I'd been looking at myself doing my own makeup for years, and I didn't notice it. And when she pointed it out, I said, "Oh, you're right. I do have really bad dark under eye circles." And then I went back and looked at recordings of myself. It was right there, plain as day. But it took someone pointing it out to me for me to see it. Once she did that, I revamped my makeup regimen, and I was so much happier with how I looked. But a lot of times we can't see it with our own eyes. It takes someone pointing it out to us. How many people were probably saying, "Good grief, have you seen Valonda? Does she look tired?" I don't know. But now that I do know, and back then when I found that out, I felt so much better. And I was so glad that someone pointed it out to me in kindness. We don't have to tear each other down. The same way you would say to somebody, your pants are unzipped. Or the same way you would say to somebody, "You've got some broccoli in your teeth." We can point out some things about overall appearance on the webcam as well. That's what this is all about, having that growth mindset and removing things that are a distraction. If you're doing an amazing talk about something, but people are distracted and they're looking at everything in your background instead of listening to what you have to say, then perhaps you aren't being as effective as you need to be. That's what I'm trying to do. I want people to win, whether they are selling something online, whether they have an important message to share, whether they're trying to move up in their company and get the attention of the people who matter. Job interviews. We aren't flying people across the country anymore. That's not happening. Job interviews are going to be through that tiny little webcam. And there are so many things that you need to know to make a great impression to the person on the other side. That's what this is all about, helping you show off your very best so you can win at whatever it is you're going after.
Like the fact you say for whatever you're going after, because it could be different.
Right.
So what you need to do could be different depending on the scene. If you're having a business meeting versus having girls' night out virtually, that's totally different. And I think that sometimes people aren't able to shift those gears, learning to shift those gears. So how important is it for us, for my listeners and for my my visual people as well? I think a listener's gonna think of my podcast, but how important is it for my listeners to be able to shift and to listen and to glean what you're saying from this book?
I interviewed a makeup artist who has done so many amazing faces, people you would know if you live here in the Triangle. I know you have a large audience, so I won't start naming names, but she's done some pretty amazing faces. And she shared why it's important to know your audience. You wouldn't wear the same makeup for a fashion show that you would wear for a business meeting. You wouldn't wear the same jewelry for a fashion show that you might wear for a business
I'm going
meeting.
to stop right there because I do believe that that's a disconnect. I do believe that some people don't know that.
Mm,
I do believe that some people don't know this. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because I
yes.
don't believe that people know how to shift gears and where you're going. You're teaching them through your experience and through the
Mhm.
experts you've worked with how to shift these gears. So
You
keep
are so
talking.
right. When I look on LinkedIn, it's very clear that a lot of people don't get it. LinkedIn is a business platform, period. But occasionally I'll go on LinkedIn and see pictures that are more appropriate for Facebook or for Instagram. We have to shift
This
and
is
realize that
important.
all these platforms serve different purposes. And the way you present yourself, it matters because we're being judged. Anytime you put yourself out there, you are being judged. It's not that we're just a mean bunch of humans. It's human nature.
Yeah.
It's what people do
Mhm.
naturally. So recognize that. We aren't going to change every single person's behavior. But what we can do is recognize that a lot of things are just human nature, whether we like it or not, and be prepared for that.
I love the fact that you just stated what you stated because when you don't know a person, and if someone briefly walks in your office or
Mhm.
something, and they'll say, well, "Who was that?" and you may not know that person's name, you're going to say, "Oh, well, she was a tall woman with red hair and blah 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 blah," and that's how we identify people we don't know generally
Yes.
by
Yes.
their aesthetics, what they have on, what they're wearing, and we do that with people we do know. Um,
Mhm.
that there are jokes made around things like that people say, and it's due to the visual. So
Yes.
visual is important, and I think that in this day and time, because everyone is trying to stay woke, quote unquote, unquote, people are forgetting that, and staying woke is awesome, but you need to stay woke with a job.
Yeah.
You know, being woke and not having a job, not being able to sustain yourself or take care of your family. Honey, you
You
might
need to put that on a t-shirt,
yeah.
LaShira. Be woke with a job.
Wow, yeah. It's a level to that conscious, being self-conscious and being conscientious can be two different things.
Mhm.
And your book really helps to lay that out to people. So once again, just in just case people, because we just talked earlier how people may come in and out. Can you tell us the title of your book and the platforms that we can purchase your book and support you? Magic.
Here it is. It is called Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for making a great impression on camera and in person. And my name is Valonda Calloway. Here it is. And you can find this at my website, valondacalloway.com. Please go there and order a signed paperback copy. If you love Amazon, oh, Tony, I'm so excited. Thank you for
Mama
letting me know
Tony.
that Tony
Yes,
received your book today.
yes.
You
And
can go
Mama
to
Tony is awesome.
Oh, you can go to Amazon.com and order the book as well. It's available in paperback as well as the Kindle version there. And it is a quick, neat read. Well, not quick, but it's a neat read. And it's 10 chapters. And at the end of each chapter, I'll leave you with 3 TV lady takeaways. It's got plenty of takeaways, but each chapter, I take the 3 most important ones and put those at the end so that you can go to them as a quick reference guide before you press start on your next jewelry sale or job interview or whatever it is that you're doing online.
And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned jewelry interviews. I have several people that sell. One of my book club members, she sells paparazzi as well. And we're all on here selling things. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're just selling just advice and inspiration. But
Yes.
this is a visual society. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
You even see people who are in the ministry. look totally different than people in the ministry when I grew up as a child,
Yes,
because they understand this is a visual world and
it
the
is.
aesthetics do matter. And I like the fact that you were also talking about in person, because you also need to make those connections and
Mhm.
you need to make those positive points when
Yes.
you're talking to someone and you're presenting yourself in person. So we've talked a lot about the visual, of course, and being online, but how important is it? And we've always talked, and we've always been taught, the first impression is the greatest impression.
Yes.
So what tips can you give us when we do meet that person, or we do have that interview, or we are pitching to someone in person? What tips can you give us?
Connect the same way you would connect when you are in person with someone. It's important to do that when you're on a webcam as well. The same rules apply. When you're talking with someone in person, you look them in the eye, you talk with them, you engage with them, you use your hands. Maybe I'm one of those people, I use my hands when I talk. I'm not sitting on my hands now trying not to use them because I'm in a web camera conversation. Be yourself, connect, use the same things that you would use in person to connect when you are on camera. But there are some things you have to keep in mind. You can't do everything you would do in person. There are some things you might need to adjust. Get the book and I'll share exactly what those are.
All right. Now, that's very important. There may be need to adjust. And
Mhm.
I think that being open and having that growth mindset will help you to adjust, engage, and do things a little differently. And I like the fact that she was able to take note. Some people call it criticism. I like to call it take note. When
Yes.
people are sharing information and
Mhm.
tidbits that can enhance you. Because I think that there's never an age limit to grow.
Um, I am
Never
a
age
lifelong
limit to grow.
learner, Sheera. And working in the business that I work in, you're
You have to
constantly
be.
being picked apart by people who care about you
Mhm.
and do it with tact, as well as people who don't care and just fire off an email or fire off a social media message and come down on you. I've developed a thick skin. I'm thankful for the people who have checked me with love and
With
said to
love.
me, let's work on those under eye circles. Or the people who have come to me, that color on your hair would be a bit better if you did this instead of that. It's if you're right. If you want to have a growth mindset, you need to be able to accept constructive criticism, especially when someone comes to you with love.
With love. And we're going to end right here at 7:27. But before we end, I would like for you once again to share the title of your book, the platforms where we can support you in your book, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing next and how we can support.
Thank you so much. The book is Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for making a great impression on camera and in person. These tips work on webcam. They also work in person. It is available in the paperback form as well as the Kindle version on Amazon.com. You can get a signed paperback copy right now at ValondaCalloway.com. I have a limited number of signed paperback copies. So write down my name, ValondaCalloway.com, and you can get the paperback signed version there. Thank you so much, Angela, for putting that information in the graphic on the screen. What's coming up next? I'll keep you posted, Sheera. I'm working on a way to share this information with even more people, perhaps
Awesome.
virtually. We'll see what happens with coronavirus. Maybe we can do it in person. But right now, planning for virtually a way to continue so that this growth mindset, so that so many more of us can have it and win at whatever it is that we're going after. That's what I want. I want all of us to, especially the ladies, to just
Yeah.
keep winning, to keep going after it and not to let anything negative or anything that is a distraction get in the way. And that's what this is all about, removing distractions so that the very best you can shine through.
All right. Well, Miss Whitaker says she needs that book, and she's
Thank you,
giving
Ms.
you
Whitaker.
access to
Please
get
get
it.
it. Thank you, Norma. Thank you so much.
All right. And we would like to thank everyone for joining us this evening for Cool Conversations. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have 2 weeks of pop-up shops where we're going to support African American women in books who sell books, services, financial services, candles, jewelry, makeup, all. It is the Read You Later virtual pop-up shops, November the 23rd and December the 4th. Honey, we are going to have a blast where you can support African American women and get your Christmas gifts checked out.
Love that.
All right. And thank everyone. And from my heart to yours and from my bookshelf to yours, have a wonderful and blessed evening. Read you later. Goodbye.